Hey everybody, Josh Sigurdson of World Alternative Media here, and the Saudi King has announced a decree on state-run television that Saudi women will soon be allowed to drive. According to Zero Hedge, in an unprecedented step for a country where a sprawling monarchy has managed to cling to power in part because of its concessions to hardline conservative clerics, Saudi Arabia announced today that its King Salmon has issued a historic royal decree granting driving licenses for women in the kingdom, meaning that women will soon be allowed to drive, overturning a long-standing symbol of oppression in the Muslim world just days after the President Donald Trump slammed the U.S. allies' human rights record during remarks at the United Nations. The royal decree issued Tuesday also ordered the establishment of a high-level committee involving the Ministries of Internal Affairs, Finance, Labor, and Social Development. They will be tasked with studying the arrangements to enforce the new law. In quotes, the royal decree will implement the provisions of traffic regulations, including the issuance of driving licenses for men and women alike, the Saudi press agency said, according to Al Arabiya. According to the New York Times, the change, which will not happen immediately, was announced both on state television and during a simultaneous media event in Washington. The policy change represents Saudi Arabia acquiescing to international criticism. The change also arrives as the cash-strapped kingdom is trying to modernize its economy and sell a stake in the state-controlled oil company Aramco. Saudi Arabia, the birthplace of Islam, is ruled by Sharia law. It was also the first foreign country that Trump visited as president where he and the kingdom's rulers touted business relationships, including a historic arms deal between Saudi Arabia and the U.S. According to the Times, some in Saudi Arabia believe that women shouldn't drive because male drivers would not know how to handle women in cars next to them. Others argued that allowing women to drive would lead to promiscuity. Now, it's some joke that there are due to be far more car accidents now. All jokes aside, Canada and the United States have a massive arms deal with Saudi Arabia, and one will often see many on the left defending Saudi Arabia and call you a racist or an Islamophobe for pointing out very clear human rights violations. While the media pushes a Russian collusion narrative with Trump, they seem to ignore the fact that Hillary Clinton took millions of dollars from Saudi Arabia for her campaign and foundation. While people criticize Trump for the travel ban, which targets many Muslim countries, among other countries like North Korea, and while we certainly don't agree with the ban as voluntarists, no one blinks an eye when Saudi Arabia constructs major travel bans themselves or when they target refugees and kill them. The United Nations brought Saudi Arabia to head their Human Rights Council, which is an ironic sign of how delusional the globalist entity is. Here are just a few of their current human rights violations. According to Human Rights Watch, in March 2016, Saudi Arabia sentenced journalist Ala Brinji to 5 years in prison and an 8-year travel ban for tweets in which he criticized religious authorities and voiced support for the rights of women to drive and jailed human rights activists. Prominent activist Waleed Abu al-Khair continued to serve a 15-year sentence imposed by Saudi Arabia's terrorism court that convicted him in 2014 on charges stemming solely from his peaceful criticism in media interviews and on social media of human rights abuses. Prominent blogger Raif Badawi served the 4th year of his 10-year sentence, but authorities did not flog him in 2016, as they previously did in January 2015. Saudi Arabia has committed airstrikes against Yemen for years, where 4,125 civilians have been killed and 7,207 wounded. According to the OHCHR, airstrikes are the single largest cause of civilian casualties. Saudi Arabia does not tolerate public worship by adherents of religions other than Islam and systematically discriminates against Muslim religious minorities, notably the Twelver Shia and Ismailis, including in public education, the justice system, religious freedom, and employment. In February, a Saudi court reduced Palestinian poet Ashraf Fayyad's punishment from the death penalty to 8 years in prison for alleged blasphemous statements in a book of his poetry and during a discussion group. Saudi Arabia has no written laws concerning sexual orientation or gender identity, but judges use principles of uncodified Islamic law to sanction people suspected of committing sexual relations outside of marriage, including adultery, extramarital, and homosexual sex or other quote-unquote immoral acts. If such activity occurs online, judges and prosecutors utilize vague provisions of the country's anti-cybercrime law that criminalize online activity impinging on public order, religious values, public morals, and privacy. In February 2016, the Saudi Gazette reported that the Bureau of Investigation and Public Prosecution is considering requesting the death penalty for anyone using social media to solicit homosexual acts. Saudi Arabia applies Sharia, Islamic law, as its national law. There is no formal penal code, but the government has passed some laws and regulations that subject certain broadly defined offenses to criminal penalties. In the absence of a written penal code or narrowly worded regulations, however, judges and prosecutors can criminalize a wide range of offenses under broad catch-all charges such as quote-unquote breaking allegiance with the ruler or quote-unquote trying to distort the reputation of the kingdom. Judges routinely sentence defendants to floggings of hundreds of lashes. Children can be tried for capital crimes and sentenced as adults if there are physical signs of puberty. Saudi Arabia's discriminatory male guardianship system remains intact despite government pledges to abolish it. Under this system, adult women must obtain permission from a male guardian, usually a husband, father, brother, or son, to travel, marry, or exit prison. They may be required to provide guardian consent in order to work or access healthcare. Women regularly face difficulty conducting a range of transactions without a male relative, from renting an apartment to filing legal claims. Following municipal elections in December 2015, 38 women were elected or appointed to councils with a total of 3,159 members across the country for the first time. In February, however, authorities ordered that the councils must be segregated by sex, with women members sitting in separate rooms away from their male colleagues and participating only by video link. Over 9 million migrant workers fill manual, clerical, and service jobs, constituting more than half the workforce. Some suffer abuses and exploitation, sometimes amounting to conditions of forced labor. There is no asylum program in place in Saudi Arabia. This barely scratches the surface, but this is another example of the cult of statism and how people bow down to state actors they see as highly spiritual figures and qualified to collectively extort, kidnap, kill, and rule over the masses. Now that is oppression. People, let's stop defending the Saudi government. Thanks for watching, everyone. Until next time, this is Josh Sigurdson signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth, be the change. Now to sound like an auctioneer. Thanks for watching, everyone. Check the links below. GoFundMe, Patreon. We can't do it without you. Any donation is very much appreciated, especially as we are so vastly demonetized and censored by YouTube as they bring in the Anti-Defamation League to flag all of our content as hate speech. Also check our Bitcoin address in the description in the comments, as well as on the screen for you to scan if you please. And don't forget to check me out at Josh Sigurdson at steemit.com. That's steemit.com, the future of social media, where you get paid via cryptocurrency, Steem that is, by the upvote and demand of your post. It's bound to take out the dinosaur social media, so I hope to see you there. But until next time, check out this word from our sponsor.
Are you looking to exchange a large amount of US dollars? Don't overpay with the bank on currency exchange. Think outside the bank. Banks charge unnecessary fees of up to 3%. Truth be told, currency exchange with the bank will cost you hundreds to thousands of dollars. Start saving now. Step 1. Register online. Visit our website and click Get Started. Step 2. Book a transaction. Phone us for a quote and to complete the transaction. We'll need to know which currencies you are converting and how much. Step 3. Transfer of funds. Once you confirm the transaction, we initiate an electronic funds transfer from the account that you choose. Your purchased funds are then transferred back to you in the account that you choose within 1 business day. It's that easy. Start saving hundreds of dollars on currency exchange with CBCE. Sign up online or give us a call today.